Hey guys, welcome back to the Blue Collar Future Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Robison. I know there's quite a few new listeners because of the last few episodes we've had and maybe some upcoming episodes that we've got coming. I was debating on releasing 2 interviews in a row and then a solo episode for the next couple weeks because I have so many interviews ready to go. I have a ton of interviews ready, and I haven't quite decided on that. After this solo episode this week, I may release 2 interviews in a row and then a solo, and 2 interviews in a row and a solo, so I can get caught up a little bit. I've been in this game of not having enough interviews to post, and then having to do 2 solos in a row and then an interview because I'm talking to so many people at the same time, and schedules just don't line up. And that's finally caught up with me. And now, if I continue the way I'm going, I'm booked out until end of February on recorded episodes and scheduled Zoom calls. So I may switch it up for a while. I won't go to 2 episodes a week because it's too much for me to do right now. But I will probably do 2 in a row. But anyways, so that being said, too, we have a ton of podcast episodes in our Blue Collar Future community, our exclusive community for the podcast. And I think we have 5 or 6 episodes that have 30 to 45 minutes extra interview on them specifically for the community. Get in there, check it out. It's only $10 a month. It's, a gas station stop for a lot of you guys that do that, and definitely worth the money. And then there's a training grounds, which is $100 a month, where we're going to be doing more in-depth training and calls, and going to be a place where people can get in and go live and train each other and help each other out, because that's what we need more of. We need more people helping each other out and training each other. And I want it to be a one-stop shop for any trade need. And that can even go down to specific trades in construction, where you can get tips and tricks from experts in their field, and from me in concrete, and even along the website game, have some courses and stuff lined out in there that you can get access to only in the community. So without further ado, let's get into our topic for this week, which is building a healthy lifestyle in the trades. I have gone over a ton the importance of your health and your fitness, mental health, physical health, diet, like everything to do with that. I have gone over up until this point. I've talked about it in podcast episodes and with guests, talked about it with, it's a conversation I have all the time. So I wanted to compile some of that information and then give kind of an overall view on your health and your fitness while working in a trade job. So kind of point number one that I have come across is understanding the physical demands of the industry. The physical demands are not nearly as, I think, important, or not nearly as severe as people think. So, a favorite excuse I always hear, or a response I hear to people that say they're in construction, they go tell somebody, the person will say to them, get ready for back pain or back surgery, or, oh, have you had a back surgery yet? Get ready for your shoulder to be replaced. And the list goes on, because somebody knows somebody that worked their whole life in a trade and is broken down and ended up dying crippled of, all sorts of problems with their knees, shoulders, back, like everything. The only thing there is the same thing happens to people that sit in a desk all day. And those people tend to get overweight easier and have more back problems from sitting down constantly. Because believe it or not, humans are not meant to sit down. And we are especially built to be able to carry things. And we have hands that allow us to work, build things for our advantage. Because we don't have all that many advantages and other things. We don't breathe underwater. We don't have, teeth and, insane speed or strength compared to other mammals, but we are able to use our body to construct things, which is what humans really have been doing for thousands of years. You're either hunting or you're building things, you're moving all the time, you're farming, whatever it is, you're using your body and you're using the tools you have to complete a task. And looking at it from that perspective, being in a manual labor job, being in a trade, you are the closest to what we have been evolved from and doing for the last, however long you want to say, thousands of years. And, me thinking of that and somehow people thinking that just because you work a manual labor job that you're going to be broken down, there's a little bit of a disparity there. Because those people are also assuming that these people that are broken down from working in a trade, which there are some, quite a few really, have done the proper work their whole life. There's a trend that usually happens where when you get into a trade, you're young and you don't really feel anything that you do to your body. And over time, you start to get more stubborn and you don't want to listen to people and you don't want to listen to your own body and what you're doing wrong that's affecting it. And more time of that and being less and less and less mobile, working the same things over and over again, working the same muscles, the same joints, and the same movement over and over and over again leads to overuse, let's say underbuilt on the reverse of that, no protection towards injury, because when you consistently use the same muscle and you get worn down, there's nothing to protect your joints if you're not building kind of the reverse motion of it. So you see this in basketball in particular, and I'm taking this a lot from Knees Over Toes guy on Instagram. You see this a lot with basketball players and knee problems. There's so much impact from the forward motion in basketball, and not a lot of athletes train the reverse. Not a lot of athletes train walking backwards and doing things in reverse. Just doing that alone gets rid of, a ton of knee problems. Walking in reverse, pulling a sled, walking backwards, and doing deeper squats, using, becoming more mobile. That alone reverses a lot of those problems. But there are people that have knee problems that think that they're irreversible because of what they've done in basketball. So it is not a stretch to say that these same things happen to people that are doing a physical job their whole life. They may not know how to properly move their body to avoid injury and how to, take care of themselves in order to prevent injury. And I know for a fact that a lot of them don't. You don't see a lot of people in construction out there working out, trying to, or better yet, even, doing yoga or like stretching and mobility type stuff. You don't see a lot of that because somehow they're better than that, or somehow that's weird to do. So there's a stigma against taking care of yourself and doing mobility exercises and working out and all that. But there's also a stigma of people that work in construction break down their body. So you can kind of see how those might correlate there. The physical demands aren't nearly as severe as people think. People just don't take care of their body. Okay, that is first and foremost. Understanding the physical demands, that they aren't as severe as people think, but you need to take care of yourself. So this is number one that I have come across. Number two, along the same lines, ergonomics and injury prevention. Learning how your body is supposed to move and supposed to work to promote your long-term health. And this is along the lines of what I wanted this podcast to start off as, almost starting off with fitness related workouts, or like workouts related to construction, fitness for contractors, really, to strengthen weak areas that don't ever get worked, become mobile in ways that most aren't because of the ways that they are always moving. So, for example, people sit down a lot nowadays. Sitting down is not how we're not meant to sit down the way we do. And so all of that sitting down makes our hips not nearly as mobile as they used to be, which your hips not being mobile leads to knee and back issues. Not having mobile hips literally leads to back problems. And you wonder how many people have exactly that, the not mobile hips and not a flexible back. And that's what creates their back issues. So understanding how your body works and how it's supposed to move and what you're supposed to be able to do is important, because that means you can then get to a point where you can do that and you can structure workouts and mobility exercises to get to that point. Because at the end of the day, that's way easier than living a life with a broken back, crappy knees, replaced knees, and a bunch of metal in your body because you've worn down body parts that shouldn't be. This is not trade specific, meaning this goes for everybody across all industries, especially if you sit at a desk all day. It's terrible for you. I'd say it's worse for you than working in a trade, and that is backed by literally looking at the health crisis that we are seeing right now. People sitting at a desk. I mean, it's not only not good for your physical health to not be moving like that, but it's also bad for your mental health, which is why I think in a lot of ways, people that work in a manual labor job are set up for better success as long as they accept what's going on. Number three, nutrition. I'm not the best at nutrition, and frankly, I'm not the best at moving my body the way it's supposed to go, but it is important. And especially if you are at a point where you're overweight or you have a lot of problems, let's say with sleep or appetite or any other health related problems, nutrition is probably the most important. I'd put nutrition above working out, and maybe at the same level, I'd say as just being mobile and taking care of yourself and moving properly. As far as long-term health and overall health goes, nutrition and making sure that you are doing mobility, stretching, and moving your body the way it's supposed to are probably the two most important things to be healthy long-term. There's not a lot I can tell you on nutrition other than make sure you're eating enough protein. You're not stopping at fast food restaurants, like just quit overeating and gorging yourself at every single meal. Intermittent fasting is kind of like a popular thing right now, but if you think about the way people intermittent fast, which this isn't necessarily nutrition, this is just, or like a diet, this is a way you structure your eating, is all intermittent fasting is. If you look at intermittent fasting, it's probably the closest to the way we have evolved to eat over the last, however many thousands of years. People didn't start eating breakfast in the amount that they did until the refrigerator came around and you were able to keep food cold and keep food longer. It was about going out and getting your food for the day. You didn't have food right when you woke up readily available. Milk and cereal wasn't something that you just had available to you. Usually it would be a couple hours after waking up, which is all intermittent fasting is. Not eating for the first couple hours of the day, first few hours of the day. I intermittent fast, kind of. I just don't eat breakfast. And then I meal prep a sandwich with meat and cheese, and that's really about it. I eat potato bread, which is kind of a white bread, but it's made with potatoes somehow. I haven't even really looked into that. The most important thing is to be eating as much non-processed foods as possible and making things yourself. Okay, because going to fast food restaurants is about the worst thing you can do, and stopping at gas stations to get food is about the worst thing you can do. If you have to go to a gas station, go to a gas station that cooks their food not from frozen and like makes it up in kind of a deli style or something. Maverick grill, the bonfire grill is pretty good, but just quit eating garbage. I would recommend cutting the soda, the energy drinks, the alcohol, all of that stuff until you get your nutrition in order. I still have soda every once in a while. I don't, ever since I started working out, I didn't really ever crave soda anymore. So that was one thing that working out helped with. I quit craving garbage, really. I started to get to a point where eating fast food, just the smell of it and eating it in general just makes me sick. But I still drink Red Bulls and yeah, I drink coffee and I have soda sparingly. The important thing there is once you get your nutrition in order and you start losing weight and you get to a place you want to be mindful of what you put in your body, because this is what's going to help you the most. Intermittent fasting is one way to be mindful of what you're doing, because if you aren't eating your first meal and you're eating kind of a light lunch and then a big dinner, it's really hard to overeat, and you're pretty aware of what you're eating, because you're not, eating a huge breakfast and then a snack and then a big lunch and then, another snack and drinking all these drinks and then getting home and having a couple beers and then having a big dinner, because all of that stuff adds up. So be aware of what you're doing, what you're putting into your body. Your nutrition is important. I don't focus much on it, but I've never got. I mean, when I started working out, part of the reason I started working out is because I felt like I was never hungry and I was losing weight and I just felt like crap. And I think part of that was eating fast food. I just felt like garbage. Didn't eat breakfast. I wasn't eating dinner. It seemed like I was eating a gas station food. And anyways, it just was it was a bad time. And when I started working out, I started craving real food and started eating real food and actually making food for myself. And it was a complete difference. And I can't tell you the last time I had a fast food restaurant, like a big fast food chain, maybe other than a pizza place. And I don't have it very often. It's definitely not every day. and we don't really eat out either. So if you start looking at what you put into your body, I eat whatever I want, but usually it's pretty good food, and whatever I want really isn't that much. I also don't eat breakfast. I eat a light lunch. So at the end of the day, I can eat whatever I want because I'm not even gonna be able to put enough in my stomach to be um, overeat. Nutrition. Watch what you eat. I recommend skipping breakfast, but you don't have to, just because breakfast really isn't that important. If you break down that word break fast, it's just when you break your fast throughout the night. It really doesn't matter when that is. It more matters what it is. So if you're eating breakfast, don't eat a bunch of trash. Um, quit out eating out at gas stations and fast food restaurants. That's probably one of the biggest ones. Fitness. On to the next one. Number 4, fitness. This is a super important one to me. I'm always talking about fitness, working out, doing all that stuff because it's super important to me. Having your fitness where it needs to be is like, it's super important. And next to nutrition and making sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with the way your body is supposed to work, it is such a big help because, working out helps regulate your appetite. Like I said before, it helps you put on muscle, but like I said before, it helps you to not crave a bunch of garbage food because it's not gonna make you feel good. When you're building muscle, your muscle burns more calories, and that helps you lose weight easier. So working out, strength training is super important. I'm not talking about cardio and running, not nearly as important. Your cardiovascular health is important, but going for runs is not. You can get decent cardio, or I guess I should say jogs, because a lot of people go jogging for hours and completely wreck themselves. And it is extremely hard to stay consistent with that and to do it enough to lose weight. So I would recommend not doing that as much and doing more strength training because it's easier and it's better for you. Strength training has helped me a ton. And when you work out, you actually get more energy throughout your day. Even especially if you start working out in the morning, you end up being able to wake up easier because your body is preparing itself for that stress it's about to come under. But you also create more energy. It's a weird concept to think about because you're expelling energy, but your body is also generating more and becoming more alert. Your mind is becoming more alert, and it gives you the feeling of having more energy, and you feel good after working out. You just feel good. Sometimes you might have a crappy right at the end of a workout, but later on it's always you feel better. That's why I push strength training so much, and it doesn't even have to be that much. Right now I'm doing 2 times a week. There's about 4 or 5 workouts with 2 to 3 sets each. Really not that much. Up until now, I've done 3 workouts a week. Same thing, about 4 or 5 exercises with about 3 sets each. And so I've cut back a little bit lately because I've gotten to a point with my strength that I don't need nearly as much to maintain or to grow, really. Doing more doesn't necessarily help unless I increase my calories or increase the amount I'm resting, or really just get on to some sort of performance enhancing drug, which I don't want to do and I don't do. And the last one, number 5, mental health and stress management. Mental health and stress management, I put kind of 5th because all of these things help, I mean, if you're looking at your overall health, your physical health and your mental health are so intertwined that if you start working on your physical health, it immediately improves your mental health. Um, it's and I say it that way because it's hard to work on your mental health. It's hard to focus on your mental health to get your physical health to where it needs to be. But it is so much easier to work on your body and what you can feel by moving your body than it is the other way around. So if you start working out, a lot of times that really like gets I mean, I wouldn't say it gets rid of, but it helps so much with depression and anxiety and all of that, that there's a lot of people that have seen reversed effects after starting to work out, feeling like 100% better. And it really does work. And your mental health is super important. Making sure you're on top of the kind of stress you're getting on the job, counteracting. I mean, if you have a very high stress job, where you're working a lot and it's stressful and hard and very taxing, then you're going to want to take time for yourself. Do what you want. Be selfish. Take some time for yourself and take care of yourself. All of these things, I would say, help so much with mental health that I'm not necessarily going to go over any other mental health management things right now, mainly because I don't know if I'm qualified to speak on them. I think that a lot of people's mental health struggles come from not moving enough, not having clear goals, not having a purpose necessarily, or being fulfilled. If you don't see a reason to go to work and you don't enjoy, or you're not fulfilled with it somehow, or you aren't thinking about what you do for work in a way that shows you that it's doing something for you, it's really easy to get into this state of depression and anxiety. Anxiety is, from what I've seen a lot of and what I've heard, is exacerbated by aimlessness, not having a direction. So not having goals, clear targets, and maybe you could even say flying by the seat of your pants, not having a set routine where you're waking up at the same time, you're going to the gym, you're working out, you're doing all that stuff for yourself. That can lead to a lot of anxiety and depression as well. So there's a lot of things that you can do. Doing these 4 helps with the 5th one: mental stress, mental health. And beyond that, there's a lot of resources out there. So I would say if you're struggling, get help, get somebody to talk to about it at least, and you're going to thank yourself for that. So if you guys like this episode or you got something out of it, please share with a friend who you think will get something out of it. Subscribe, do the thing, join the community. It's $10 a month or $100 if you want to get a deep dive. Totally worth it. $10 a month doesn't even, it's not even a dollar a day. It's 30 cents a day. So do that. I appreciate everybody that's listening, and we'll see you guys next week.